I'm Colonel Alankar Bhardwaj, CEO of Team Iris, and I welcome you once again for the seventh free webinar organized by Team Iris. Today, we have got together to talk about career counseling, which is very important in helping the students to understand what are the career opportunities and options available to them. Serving for 26 and a half years in Army and spending 6 years in a school as the head of the administration, I felt that this is a very important topic because children nowadays are, very aware of what they want in life. Therefore, I decided that we'll organize a webinar on career counseling. Career counseling is not just limited to finding the best career option, but with the help of experienced career counselors, a detailed execution plan can be chalked out in giving you a complete clarity about the career which you would like to choose. This would not only put you on the right path without wasting your and your parents' precious time, but it would also help you to save money and follow the right paths to success. A career counselor helps you to identify your strengths and weaknesses and would guide you to choose a career which is perfect for you.
Today, we have among us eminent career counselors. First panelist is Mrs. Sushma Singh. She has worked in modern school and has been in the field of education for 4 decades. Sushma Singh has seen it all and has a vast experience in all fields. Starting as a school teacher, she went through the entire gamut of functions in this field. These include pedagogy, school administration and counseling, both emotional and career, as well as being the principal of an international school in Bangladesh. Her previous assignments were as the founder director of Career Smart and Usha Albuquerque Initiative, counselor with Montfort School, Delhi, GD Goenka World School and Modern School Barakhamba Road. She has also been a visiting counselor with Delhi University. She has worked as a college advisor in an American international school in Mali, West Africa. To add to this, her experience has covered diverse systems such as CBSE, IGCSE, IB, and American. While she traveled in India and overseas, she now concentrates on career counseling with emphasis on both studies in India and abroad and which career to choose. She is going to talk to us as to how to choose the right career for yourself as per the aptitude. Over to Sushma ma'am.
Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Colonel, for having me over. It's always a pleasure meeting up with youngsters and sharing whatever little knowledge I have. The oft repeated question I get every day nowadays is when youngsters get in touch with me or parents get in touch with me, we are confused, especially grade 9 and 10. We do not know which stream to take in grade 11. Even when they enter grade 11, yesterday itself, I got a student who had already opted for PCM plus CS. And now he suddenly says, I do not think I can cope with this. I don't think I'm interested. So how do we handle this and what do we need to do? I'm going to present a small presentation, I'll give you a presentation through which I'll explain how to go about this. This is how to choose the right career in your lives, how to go about selecting the subjects that you have to take in grade 11 and 12, and then the career you are going to take later on. So the first thing is very oft, what do parents really want for their children? I would like the parents to maybe put it down in the chat box as to what you want from your children. But from experience, every parent I have spoken to, every parent who has come to me has always come up with, we want our children to be happy. We want our children to be independent. I think, and I believe them. They may not know how to go about it because they're not trained in this area, but this is what they want. Then we come to what do students want for themselves? Many answers. You can put them down. Success is one, money is another one, fun is another one. So whatever a student wants, but basically they all want to be successful in whichever field they join. And you must have seen this movie, Three Idiots. Yes, and you've seen what happened when a student took up what he was not interested in. And that is what we have to be very careful about. How do we make sure that we do not jump into the wrong arena? Because that can create a lot of problems and unhappiness in life, as well as no success. So how do you go about it? Find a career that can make you successful. Very easily said. Go find a career that can make you successful. But ma'am, which one? How do we make out? How do we decide which is going to make us successful? So the best is how do we find out which is the best career for your child? That's where the parents are concerned. So who are the two main people who have to take this decision? The parents and the child. We cannot have just a child taking the decision, nor can we only have the parents taking the decision. It's best if they both get together and find a common spot for themselves. Now, how do you achieve this success? What happens? Do you go rob a bank? Do you win a lottery? Do you inherit a fortune and say, yay, I've got success now, I've got the money that I wanted? Or do you want to have a well-paid job that you like to do? The only way to do great work is to love what you do, says Steve Jobs. Until and unless we love what we do, we will not be successful. So, how do you choose your career? There are 4 aspects to it. Number 1 aspect, know yourself. It is high time. When you reach high school, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, you have to start knowing who you are. You're very good at knowing who your friends are. And sometimes we blindly follow our friends even if they're different from us. So you need to know who you are. Get career information according to what you are. Connect your information and then look for the study route. I'm going to go through these 4 points separately. So who are you? Your ability. Is this covering the screen? Let me bring it here. Your ability is something that you can do well and easily. For example, I might be excellent at art. I do it fast and I do it well. But if I'm asked to do math, it'll take hours because maybe that isn't my ability. My interest, something that you like to do. Again, they are combined. And then your personality that defines you, the kind of person you are. For example, if you are a very quiet person, very quiet, you don't like to meet people, you don't like to talk, you're shy, it's okay, that's your personality. And then you are told to go into marketing. What's going to happen? You're not going to achieve success. You will lose out because that is not part of you. On the other hand, if you're very communicative, you love being with people, you're an outdoor person and you're put into a lab to do research, again, it's not going to give you success. So your personality is something that defines who you are and the kind of person, and you need to know these 3 things about yourselves: your ability, your interest, and your personality. And success only comes first by knowing who you are. Open your eyes to yourself. Look inside you, look around you, find out from your parents also, find out from your friends, from your teachers, who am I? Self-awareness. What am I good at? How do you get to know who you are? So, what am I good at? What do I like to do? What do I manage to do easily? For example, your parents say, chalo utho, kitab uthao, kholo. And you pick up the one which you like best. That's what you're good at. That's what you like to do. What do I manage to do easily? Do I manage to do sums easily? Do I manage to write easily? What do I manage to do easily? Or do I like to go and tinker with my hand, do something with my hands? And in which subjects do I score well? We have to look at all these things. And then, still I don't know. I'm still not very sure. So then I have to take some help. For this, there are a set of assessment tools, psychometric evaluation, this is called. And from there, you get to know your individual aptitude in different areas. Where are you at verbal ability? Where are you at mathematical ability or numerical ability? Are you better at spatial? Are you better at the mechanical part? Are you better at logic? So you get to know what your potential is. And then the personality test will tell you what your personality is all about. And then an interest, one which you mostly know, that you also need to know. You can do it through tools of psychometric evaluation too. Then now I know who I am. I know very well. Okay, I know my abilities. I know my interests. I know my personality. I know that. Now what do I do? Find out more about careers. So start off, grade 9. Which careers are there in the market? Find out about it. Find out about each career. Go and do some internships. Find out. Find out the work that you will do. Would you like that type of work? Where will you work? Is it indoors? Is it outdoors? Is it in a lab? Is it with people? Find out the qualifications required. I can't say I want to go into marketing and do something in journalism. I have to be sure. What are the qualities required for that job, for that career? Find out about the salary. Find out the lifestyle that you lead. And most importantly, also being practical, you have to also find the job market. I've done this, but there's no market for it. There's no job. Then what do I do? Turn around again and start from the beginning? So that is why this is the time you have to be most careful. Take your time and ensure that you're going into the right path. So you and your career, you need to know your potential, requirements of careers, and each career has a set sort of requirements, and each person has his own unique potential. Match the two, and then you will reach the right place. You open the correct, you got the right key for it then. So again, I go through it. Know your skills, know your values, also your skills, and know your value systems. What do you consider to be valuable? What? Are you interested in society? Are you interested in honesty? Are you interested in very hard work? Or you just want, whatever your values are and what are your skills are, you need to get to know them. And then what subjects do I choose? Now, what are the subjects that are available in school? Okay, I know that this is the career I'm looking, this is who I am. These are the careers, and this is the career which matches me. To reach this career, to manage that, I have to choose subjects. I need to find out the requirement for that. So choose your subjects very, very carefully. I'm looking for a career in finance. I have to make sure I have maths, economics, or any other subject, but maths is definite. So make sure. If I want to do engineering, I have to have PCM with me, physics, chemistry, maths. So you have to know what you want to do and choose your subjects very carefully. And then you are already in grade 10, you are entering grade 11. Please don't start this in grade 8, only at this time. Don't start going to coaching classes in grade 8. And by the time you come to grade 12, you're dead and burnt out. Get to know what entrance exams you have to give and what other preparation is required. For example, if I'm going into a university which is going to take me into management, etc., they might also want more than just your entrance exam results or your school results. They might ask you for a particular profile of yours, some extracurriculars, some co-curriculars, maybe SATs, whatever. And which colleges offered this course that you are looking for. Get to know that too, so that you can prepare accordingly. And then how do I reach there? What is the study path? मेरे को रास्ता पता होगा, then I will be able to go the right direction. Otherwise, I'll keep waving in and waving out, going through the wrong ways. All these factors should be taken into account. Make an informed choice when you are choosing a career. So know yourself, get the career information, get to know your abilities, and get to know which careers require the type of person that you are, and go ahead with it. And that's all for today. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, could you please remove the
Yeah, I
slide,
remember.
please? Stop
Yes.
sharing. Thank you very much, Sushma ma'am. It was really enlightening to know about the nuances of choosing a career, which is so systematic and logically explained by you. Our times, the things were different. If parents look at it, at what things were during their time, all we would say that when we were small children, we didn't really have many options. There were just 3 to 4 options, like become a doctor, engineer, teacher, or join the army. It was our parents who decided which career to choose. A child who was good in maths and scored well in class 12th got admission in an engineering college and became an engineer. If a child was diligent and caring, then PMT exam was there and he aimed to become a doctor. Some parents even said that if the child is argumentative, he could become a good lawyer, for short. And as per parents, and those who were bad in studies and good at sports could be sent to army like me. However, these days, the children have a wide range of opportunities from which they can choose from, according to their ability and interest. Therefore, to explain the options we have, our second panelist, Shalini Singh Deo, is there. And Shalini has done her MA in psychology, a diploma in guidance and counseling. She is associated with Prince Ashok Rajay Gaikwad School as a counselor and is also a part of IC3 cohort 2020-21. I would like to hand you over to Shalini Singh Deo. She's going to talk to us about how to understand the various options available and choose the right one as per ability. Over to you, Shalini.
Afternoon for all those who have joined us today. I'll be talking about careers in the future and what we can do to prepare for it. I'm just starting my screen share. As I was saying, careers in the future and what we can do to prepare for it. Next. Each individual, they come with their own set of interests, aptitudes, intelligence levels, skills. So in the past, there were very few jobs, like Colonel Bhadra was saying, very few jobs. And everybody was expected to just join those job streams. So maybe it's the legal field or the medical field or the engineering field, then it became software engineering. So everybody had to scramble to join these jobs. So what used to happen is very few individuals, got success in those fields. So it was a big struggle, and the whole transition from high school to the job market used to be very rough and filled with a lot of anguish and anxiety. Next. So now in the present, there are lots of opportunities which have opened up. So somebody with a different skill set, a different aptitude, a different interest, they can create their own job market. They can do something that they are passionate about. As you can see, there are lots of pyramids. So though these pyramids are much smaller, it's easier for one to attain success in their own little tiny areas. So the job market has really opened up. Opportunities have opened up. These pyramids will also, they keep changing. They are not stagnant. But we do have the opportunity to try out and experiment with a lot of more things now. Next. So these are some of the jobs which were unheard of earlier. But at the moment, people are joining these areas and gaining success. Waste data handlers. So there's so much of waste generated each year that you need somebody with that specialization to help them deal with the waste. Gerontologist, it's a name that you never heard of, but it is the study of aging, all aspects of aging. And then there are people who study all aspects of aging and then they find solutions to deal with those aspects. You have food stylists. They present food in a certain way that is appealing to others. Then you have flavor chemists. Flavor chemists are those who engineer artificial and natural flavors. So, there is a plethora of ethical hackers. Who would think that hackers would get jobs in top-notch companies? So Google is, all these top companies, Facebook, Google, they are hiring hackers to help them deal with cyber security issues. So, these are some of the jobs, and there are much, much more jobs that are present today, and more jobs are to come in the future. Next. Okay, so half today's careers are expected to be automated. You can already see the effects of computers, of automation. And the last 2 years, because of the pandemic, there has been leaps and bounds of changes in the technological field. So earlier, one would, when they needed to travel, they had to go to a travel agency to book their tickets, to find out about different places where one could go for holidays. But now all that is automated. With a click of a button, you can sit at home and find out about, you can book your tickets, you can find out about holiday destinations. The hospitality industry, part of it is automated. Now there are hotels where, like Ginger and things like that, where you enter and there are no human beings. Everything is automated. But that doesn't mean that people are going to lose jobs or there won't be any jobs available to them. There will be jobs available, but one just requires a different skill set. So, if somebody is creative, has social skills, uh, like designers, artists, musicians, mental health professionals, teachers, these are some of the jobs will can never be automated, right? So it's not that new jobs are coming up and some jobs are getting automated. It's just a process. Next. These are some predictions for the future, which are interesting as well as scary, but we can all be prepared for it. So 9% of the workforce will be in jobs that don't exist today. We've never heard of it. 37 will need a new skill set. Okay. So a 15-year-old today can expect to have around up to 17 different jobs in 5 different industries. So the youth today, they don't, like earlier in traditional jobs, one would join a company or a profession and stick with it, till they retired. But today, the youth, they change jobs, and it's fine. It's that's the trend. It's not like they're bored or they cannot hold jobs, but that is the need of the hour. So what are some of the skills, that are required to be successful, even if you are trying out different jobs? Next. Next, yes. So what I'm going to talk about is what skills can we inculcate from now so that we are not at loose end when it comes to seeking jobs. As parents, as students, we don't know what jobs are going to come our way in the future. But what we can do is we can build on our skills today so that no matter which job we have to take on, we can be successful in those because we have the necessary skill set. So what are some of these skills? Communication skills, very important. Collaborative skills, problem solving skills, critical thinking skills. If you have empathy, uh, if you're able to handle money. So these are life skills. These are skills that will help you get success in any field that you take on. Another thing is now in the US, the liberal arts and sciences education is is very popular. Most of the universities and colleges, they follow that system. Now, what is this liberal arts and style of education? It's coming into India as well, and many universities, the new age universities like Ashoka, SNU, Ahmedabad University, all these universities are now trying to follow the liberal education system. Now, what is the liberal education system? Next. Okay, one of the main advantages of liberal education system is also for children. When you're 17 and 18 years old, uh, it's not necessary to know that this is what I want to do in my future, or these are the subjects that I will take. Okay, there are students who are very clear on what they want to do, but there are also students who are confused about what they really want to do because they're still young and they're still exploring the world. So in the liberal arts education system, one can still explore a little more in college and then decide which subjects they want to major in. Liberal arts and science, they allow you to mingle, subjects from different disciplines. So, for example, you can take physics with music or maths with literature. You can combine subjects from the humanities field, from the science field, from the commerce field, and you can study study all of them. So, how does it help you? It helps students to get a vast range of knowledge. Okay, when you're exposed to different fields, you can also make connections between the two. So there is a huge connection between physics and music. Okay, somebody who's interested in the music field can use physics to understand it better, and vice versa. So it prepares you for a variety of sectors. It also creates an all-rounded development of the individual, and it trains you for life because you get a lot of experiential learning, a lot of skill sets that you can use later in life. Next. Next. Okay, so as of today, a child who's in LKG or UKG, they will only enter the job market when in 2000, around 2040, right? And we don't know the future. We cannot predict the future. I mean, there's been so much of changes happening that we cannot predict this future. But parents and students, what can they do today? What we can do today is to make the best choices at the moment. What is right for my child now? What can I do now? Which subject can I take now? What do I like now? Okay, that is one thing. And the other, point that one can keep in mind is don't look at subjects as something which kind of is a means to an end. Like, okay, if I study science and maths, I can become an engineer. Okay, but also look at subjects as what does it teach you? So science and maths, you love the subject and see that it science and maths teaches logic and problem solving, whereas humanities are subjects that teach empathy and develop social reasoning. Next. Okay, this is for young people. So what can you do now? Okay, it's all right to think about the future and worry about the future, but that is not very definite. But what can you do now? So I'm saying from class 8 onwards, perhaps watch your grades. Be consistent, study hard. You don't have to become an A grade student, but at least have a decent a set of grades. Focus on in-depth co-curriculars. So don't take like 10 different things. Don't do piano and football and also guitar and don't do 10 different things. Focus on a few, but do it well and do it with passion. Read and write. This is the most important thing. Read. Expand your knowledge and also try to develop writing skills. Why? Because it will help you in college admissions. It will help you in writing essays when you apply to colleges. It will help you in interviews. It will also expand your knowledge. The more you read current affairs, read newspapers, keep reading whenever you can. Take on academic projects. Take the initiative. Maybe in your school, you can take the initiative and say this, let's do this. Or if somebody is offering you a project, do it, do the research. Then don't waste your holidays. Use your summer judiciously. What can you do in your summer holidays? Besides reading, you can also take up some courses like Coursera, Udemy. They have online courses. Take on a course which is totally unrelated to the subject that you're studying. Okay. You can also do internships and job shadowing. So you can use your summer well. Also, be an explorer. Keep an open mind, keep learning, try to be curious. So these are some of the things that you can do at present so that it can help you in your future. Next. Okay, so all the best to all the young people who are out there, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Shalini ma'am. It was really very interesting to know the kind of job which are going to come up in times to come. Uh, but before I move further, I would request the participants, if they have any questions, you can put it in the chat box and we'll be more than happy to answer at the end of the session. Now, I would once again invite Sushma ji to tell us about various streams to choose from and about Indian and foreign universities. Over to Sushma ji.
Okay. So sorry, I'm back again. Like the bad egg keeps coming back. I'm one of those. Anyway, so we have come through a light gamut, starting from which subjects to choose, how to choose them, and then about the careers that are available today. Now that done, okay, I know which subjects to choose in grade 11. I've studied those. I've worked hard. I've done my coaching for this, or I'm preparing for these entrance exams, etc. Now, which colleges do I apply for? What is available outside? What's available in India? Today, it's a very, very big market. Do you apply to only one place? I usually tell children, no, always have backups. So you apply to a plethora of universities, sometimes even a plethora of countries, depending upon various things, your skills, your marks, and your pocket, your parents' pocket. You can't go beyond a pocket. So these are a few things that you have to keep in mind. So when you're applying for higher education, there are various types of courses that you apply for. One are the professional courses, like engineering and medical. If you're applying in India, you have the JEE or the NEET exam to give. If you're applying for engineering outside usually you go as undeclared. Suppose it is USA, you can apply as a declared, or as undeclared means you're sure where I want to do CS, computer science engineering, or I want to do AI, artificial engineering, or I want to go into, one student said cyber security. You're sure, but cyber security will not go into engineering. You will first need to go into computer science engineering or computer sciences. There's mechanical, there's civil, there's a whole lot of them. So first you are applying to a university outside, suppose it's USA. Like in India, here you do the JEE, for there you'll take the SATs. So what all do they require? They require your marks, school marks, not only the 12th, but 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th predicted, because you are going to be applying before your results come out. So your school gives you predicted marks. They predict that these are the type of marks the student will get, depending on your 11th grade marks or what type of student you've been. So the most important thing that is required, whether India or abroad, professional or non-professional courses, are your school marks, your consistent marks throughout. In India, when you're applying to JEE, you may not require a 98% or whatever, but they say that they may start doing that, taking 50-50. 50% from the entrance exam, 50% from your CBSE. They're also thinking of interviews now. So because of the pandemic, a whole plethora of new things have come up. So let's see. Then US, and now looking at marks, okay, I've got my marks. What next? I've done my SATs or my JEE exam. What next? I might have to also do some extracurricular activities. That is, a profile building is required. Profile means, what else can I do? What else am I good at? So maybe I'm good at, she said, piano or dance, or maybe drums, or I'm a very good leader. I'm great at debating or quizzes, whatever it is. So that is also very important. But a lot of importance is given to two aspects: co-curricular activities. Your knowledge in what you are studying or what you're applying for beyond your books. Your passion is looked at. If you are passionate about something, they come to know through your essay, through your marks, through your co-curricular activities. What all courses have you done? Have you gone beyond it? Have you done some inventions of your own? Have you done any research? All this matters a lot. And a very important factor is community service. The whole world today is looking for people who go beyond themselves to look at society, to help society. So when you are applying, You have to keep all these things in mind, even when you're applying for engineering abroad. Please remember that. I'm applying for computer science, so why do I need to do this? No, my dear, they're looking for a lot more. Maybe APs, maybe SATs, a lot, plus your co-curriculars, your passion. So please be very careful. I want to go to MIT. Ah, I've got 98%. I want to go to MIT. You may not get in if you don't have all this other stuff with you too. Your passion has to come out. You'll be writing many essays as application for essays. That is one area. Medical. Medical, you are best off when you're applying in India. And even if you apply abroad for medical, you have to take the NEET exams. It's compulsory. Your ranking is not important when you're applying abroad, but your NEET exams are important. You have to take them. It's a sort of a rule which has come out for the past few years. Yes, if you are applying for UK, you can apply directly after your NEET, of course. You have to have a NEET exam, but you can give an entrance exam like MCAT and apply for medical college in the UK or maybe Australia. But US, Canada, etc., you'll have to do pre-medical, 4 years of pre-medical college. Then give the entrance exam. If you clear it, then you get into medical. That might take 2-3 years sometimes. Then after that, you'll do the USMLE to do your MD. So it's a long journey in any case. It's a good journey if you can manage it. If you can pay rent about 2 crores, it's fine. It's up to you. So that's to do with professional courses like medical or engineering. Then there are the commerce related courses, whether it's abroad, whether it's in India. Either you're going in 2 places doing BCom honors. Today, mostly everywhere it is marks plus. Also the profile and interviews, which has come. This is going to be the future. Now boards nahi hue, so how are they going to assess? So they're not going to assess on the basis of the predicted scores of the school, because we know what students have been doing at home with the online exams. Everybody knows it. So they are going to do things their own way. They don't want the wrong student to enter. So they're all formulating their own formulas for taking students. So all of you better be careful, take your studies seriously. If you are doing these questions, you're looking at colleges, whether it is for commerce or for engineering or anywhere, you have to be prepared in a big way. So in India today, we have private colleges, we have government colleges, we have liberal studies colleges which have come up. Great, we have a lot of great colleges coming up. The other day, I was showing some parents, Plaksha University, which has come up in Mohali. Absolutely futuristic courses. You do a BTech in commerce. Have you ever heard of it? Great, great program. You can do a BTech in biology and maybe technology together. So, of course, the engineering courses are technology in any case. So, when you are looking for colleges in India or abroad, UK, you will be applying for 5 colleges at one go through the UCAS. It's a common application form. And this application form is already open for grade 12 students. You start filling it up. You have to write one SOP, a statement of purpose about yourself, why you're taking this course and what all you've done about it. Letters of recommendation. Please keep your teachers happy. Don't misbehave. Don't put the video off when the teacher is teaching you. So letters of recommendation are required, 1 letter and predicted scores for the UK. US, you'll be doing either the common application form or other forms. Every university also has its own supplementary form, which you'll need to fill up. Look at your grades, look at their requirements, and then only apply. There are, for the US, there is ED, early decision, early action, regular action, as to which one you are going to apply for. Even in India today, Ashoka, Kriya, they also have 4 rounds of admissions. And they also have tough interviews. If you decide that, okay, maine to ji essay main kisi se likhwa lunga, they have on the spot essay. You will get caught because it's not your language. So as Shalini had said, improve your writing skills, improve your language skills, read a lot. There is one question in Ashoka which says, name 5 books that you have read. You've not read any books. You read them when you were in grade 3 or 4. That's not going to help you. So entering college is a gamble. Where you're going to get in It's hard work, but it's not impossible. And this place for everybody. If you're artistic and you're looking for design, then you have to be very careful about your portfolio. Start making it from grade 9. Your drawings, put them into a folder. Any painting you've done or whatever, whether it's photography or whatever. So according to what you're applying,
Ma'am, can you unmute your mic, Sushma ji?
I suddenly got unmuted by the
Yes.
organizer. Okay. So when you're applying for colleges, you have to find out the requirements. Like Canada is a 4-year program. US is a 4-year program. UK, Australia are 3-year programs. If you're looking at settling abroad, you have to find out what their PR policies are. You have to find out about scholarships. Can you manage if you're great? I know that NYU AD, New York University of Abu Dhabi, for example, you can get 100% scholarship, including your airfare. So if you work hard, the world is yours. If you feel that I'm going to sit and watch computer games, play computer games the whole night and still manage, you're sadly mistaken. So yes, it's a great, exciting world, exciting courses. My God, what wonderful courses there are today. Whichever area you look at design today. There are 10 design courses. UX, I had not heard of UX. Product designing is there, animation designing is there, graphic design is there, communication designing is there. If you look at art, if you look at humanities, today there is a plethora of courses there too. I want to become a lawyer, I want to become a public analyst, public policy analyst. There's a lot. And of course, the best, one of the very good things is we have our defense forces. I have a student who wanted to be a pilot and cannot afford to become a pilot. I said, beta, get into the Air Force, work there for 20 years and come out. You've been trained free of cost and you're going to be in demand as an Air Force, as a pilot. So just see how much there is for you. Only you have to be sure you're going in the right direction, whether India or abroad. So you have to look at a lot of things, be practical. Only you can get yourself in. Work hard. Nobody, if you come and say, ma'am, मुझे Ivy League पहुंचा दो, ऐसे नहीं होता है. मेहनत तो आपने करनी. You will work hard. We can only guide you. People can only guide you. Okay? And look for ethical ways of getting in wherever you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sushma ma'am. It was so wonderful. You spoke from your heart and you gave all the details as to how one can probably get into the Indian and the foreign universities. Now, a lot has been spoken about various topics which one can, choose, and the professions which one can choose. But then, it's always somebody has to facilitate. If you are planning to go to a foreign university, it's better to take a guidance rather than getting confused, going around the bush, not knowing the procedures. So we also have this happens to be a very niche segment, as very few students out of the total lot have aspirations to go to a foreign country to study abroad, probably because they want to have a foreign exposure, or they feel that that particular subject is not available in India. So to explain how one can go abroad and to facilitate your movement abroad, we have Madam Sangeeta Bhatnagar. She is she has been working for over 35 years, running her own strategic HR consulting firm, which is now diversified into education. So she's a certified executive coach and a counselor, and also facilitates behavioral workshops in corporates. Today she would tell you about the nuances and the procedures of studying abroad, because she represents a company which is called EOL, that is Education Overseas Lane, a company which facilitates studying in foreign universities. So over to you, Sangeeta.
Thank you so much, Colonel Bharadwaj. Good afternoon to everyone on the webinar, and welcome to all the attendees on this webinar. Yes, I represent Overseas Education Lane in partnership with Team Iris. Overseas Education Lane was started with the intent of helping, supporting, guiding, and facilitating the entire process of sending children abroad for studies. Can I have the first slide on Namami? Yeah, thank you. So, like I mentioned, our sole focus is on students and parents. Why? Because like Sushma ji mentioned, and even Charlie mentioned, the role of parents is very, very important when it comes to students choosing a career. The reason why students are keen to go abroad these days is because of the tremendous global exposure that they get. And I mean, as parents, we will agree that this was not something which was very easily done in our times when we started our careers. So, and all said and done, the exposure that a global institution gives to children really fast tracks their careers also. Children these days are not willing to wait. They want success and they want it fast. So it is a very natural thing for parents to be worried about their children, and what they're going to do, how they're going to do in their, careers, especially. Can I have the next slide, Namami? So unfortunately, we parents, and I would include myself in that list, we are not really equipped to answer questions that a typical student would have, when it comes to careers, because of the abundance of opportunities that are available to students. So, maybe somebody wants to become a chef. Now, as a typical parent, I would say, why would you want to become a chef? I mean, what's your problem? Kind of thing. But if the child is passionate about something, he is bound to get into that industry, that role, that career. So the OEL services, as part of OEL services, the most important and the key role that I see is that as soon as the student decides to go abroad, the important thing is that he should have a good person to counsel him and to tell him how to go about the entire process, because the documentation, as Sushma ji mentioned, it is quite a sort of a daunting process, not easy to do. So everything really revolves around the counselor. The counselor is the person who basically also has various interactions and iterations with the student and the parents to understand what is the need. The need here, if I may explain, is that we need to get in touch with the student to find out what is his career plan. Sometimes students want to study abroad and come back to India and work. On most occasions, we've seen that children also plan to settle in a foreign country, which is fine, but a different plan or a different pathway has to be sort of chalked out for them. Also, it is important to understand what are the interests, what are the passions, the financial situation, how good are the parents to pay for these courses, because in the past sessions we have also seen that the fee is one thing which is really, really, sometimes it is very expensive to send your child abroad, or even to make them study in India. India is also not cheap these days. So the career counseling, like I said, is a very important and a key function that happens, or a key initiative that has to be taken by all students. The personality type is another thing, and again Sushma ji has mentioned it, and also I think Shalini in some this thing has mentioned that it is important to know yourself. Now, okay, no, you have to be on the same slide. So it is important to know yourself. As parents, when we have to highlight a certain concern about our children, and if we tell our children that, maybe you're not doing this right, the general reaction from the child is that he doesn't like it. Okay, he, tries to be in denial most of the time, or sometimes between the parent and the child, the situation also becomes stressful. Whereas if the child does takes a psychometric test or a psychometric assessment, and he is presented with a report where his behavioral traits are mentioned in the form of either a graph or data, he is more likely to accept that report and more likely to be open to the change that he needs to take in. And like we all know, we are adults, we all know that we may want to change the whole world, but I think change really begins from our own selves. And with that thought in mind, it is very important for the child to understand where he is going wrong. There are some behaviors in parents also and the children. So I'm including all parents, everyone with families. There are some behaviors which could be roadblocks in relationships between son and father, mother and son, so on and so forth. So it is very important that if we know ourselves, we will be able to come to terms with it, and then we will be able to improve, in our behavior. A very case in point here is if I were to talk about myself. 5 years ago, I did a psychometric tool, and I was given feedback. And today, I mean, I may want to admit this, that I'm a totally different person because I consciously started working on the areas which were not really working for me. Okay, so if a student knows this, and if a student is aware of his strengths and also aware of his shortcomings, he is likely to encash on his strengths and work on his shortcomings, which is going to fast track his career, make him a better professional, make him a better individual, make him a better son, really, if I were to put it like this. So psychometric is recommended for parents as well as students, is one thing which is clear. And, another thing that I would want to point out, you can go to the next slide, Namami. Yeah, so for the student, the journey is basically of 10 milestones where a child really aspires to study, and then he comes in contact with OEL, and then he meets the counselor. He applies for the chosen institute. Some children do a lot of research, and they have a lot of clarity about their careers. So they know that I want to go to UK and I want to go to this university. However, most often children are confused because of the number of opportunities that exist. And mostly, like, again, I would refer to Sushma ji. She mentioned that most children do, oh, my friend is doing it, so I'm also doing it. Okay, so there are a few examinations that have to be taken, like one of it is IELTS, and the SAT and TOEFL, all these English speaking, basically related to spoken English, written English, and understanding English. These exams are mandatory to travel abroad. Then on behalf of the student, we apply to the universities is interested in, and then submit the documents and the fees, and then the student actually travels to the country of his choice. So yes, the entire gamut of these things that have to be done is done by Overseas Education Lane, and we support end to end. So in a way, we partner with the student to help him reach where he wants to reach. Can we go to the next slide, Namami? Yeah, so some of the few countries that are opening up now, and because of the pandemic, the unintended consequences that we generally talk about, we only say that the pandemic has caused a lot of problems. Yes, it has. But for students, I think the world is opening up, and universities are reaching out to us, and they are keen to have Indian students study in their universities. So they are giving a lot of discounts, they're giving a lot of freebies, they're waiving off a lot of, monies that are normally supposed to be taken. So ideally, if you ask me, this is the best time to get admission in any of the foreign universities. It is that simple. The other good news is that even if you don't have a score of, let's say, 90 or 98 or 97, which is common these days, so even if you have a score of 60 or 65, you have a very, very bright future. And you can always reach out to Team IRIS and us to look for a good university for you in a good country. Universities are also giving options of co-op. A co-op would mean where for 6 months you work and for 6 months you study. So the financial burden on the parents is also reduced. So I think it is just the right time to do to get admission in any of the universities of your choice. Can we go to the next slide, Namami? Yeah. So one service that we are extending for all schools and for all participants who are representing schools, we organize dedicated country-specific webinars for 12th standard, particularly why? Because 12th standard is in the news these days, and results are going to be out. So hopefully by 15th of January, for 15th of July, they should have their mark sheets, and then they are ready to go. So that's all from my end. Thank you so much for having me on the webinar. You could please get in touch with Team Iris in case of any other inputs that you would. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can take a screenshot. I'll again put it up in the end in case you have any more queries. There are certain questions which have come up. The first question is, what is the scope of choosing yoga and naturopathy as a career? And is Suwasa Bangalore a right institute to choose for yogic science? So Shushma ma'am, though it's a very specific to an institution, but generic, talking generic about these careers. Can you throw some light on it?
Yeah. Say a couple of years back, if somebody had said he wanted to go into yoga as a career, people would have laughed. And today, the people who are talking about yoga are having the last laugh, because the demand is so great now. Even companies are employing yoga experts to come and have some yoga experience with their employees to make them feel more relaxed and to relieve them of their stress and strains. Abroad, it's it's totally in demand in a very big way. And online today, thanks to the pandemic or whatever, online yoga has become another very big facet. So definitely today the demand is there and it will go on increasing because of the stresses and strains that are there in people's lives, the type of lives they're leading, sitting at the computer the whole day long, requiring physical exercise also, but the correct type, which will make their body and mind work together. And yes, the university is working in the right direction. I'm not very clear about it, but I have heard about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushma ma'am. The second question is about co-curriculars. How can I expand to know what my forte in co-curriculars? So can Shalini ma'am speak something about it?
Okay. So when universities and colleges are looking at students, they also need to look at your holistic development, not just your academic, your grades, but they also look at what makes you an interesting person. So when you're looking at co-curricular activities, you should focus on what you are interested in and what you could be good in. So, anything which catches your attention, which is affordable to your parents, to your family also. I mean, no point taking a co-curricular where you have to, pay a lot of money. But anything, it could be music, it could be dance, it could be sport. You can do, a sport and something else. So, anything which you think you can do good, well in. Don't take up something just because you need to impress somebody, but do something that you will do well in, and do it well, do it with passion.
Thank you, Shalini ma'am. I hope the question is answered. In case you don't feel satisfied, you can please write to us on tmirs2021@yahoo.com. Then there's another interesting question. How can you make a career in space research? Sushma ma'am, would you like to speak something about the space research, because it's something very.
I'm going to combine both the previous question and this one. Because it does matter. In space research, first of all, you have to be very good at physics. That is one very important thing. Being interested in anything to do with astrophysics is a very important thing. So after you've done your PCM, physics, chemistry, maths, and you go and specialize in astrophysics is what you're going to do. And that will take you into space research. But So having said that, when you're looking for admission for such a niche area, Delft University, for example, in Holland, is very well known for it. Rice in America is very well known for it. So what are they looking for? They are looking for co-curricular. When we are talking of co-curricular and extra is to do with activities not to do with your studies, but apart from your academics. Co-curricular is to do with what you are looking for. For example, if I am looking to become an astrophysicist or want to go into space research, I need to have already studied about it, maybe gone to CERN for an internship, done a course from Coursera about space, about physics, about astrophysics. So anything that you can find out about astrophysics, nowadays there is so much to do with it, right? And following what is happening in space nowadays, following, like Perseverance has gone there, what has happened, what our Indian research scientists are also doing, that is also very big. So space research is a very interesting thing. And of course, you have to go through physics, which is very important. Maths and physics combination and your interest in astrophysics is very important. Thank you.
I hope thanks. I hope this question was answered. And now there are two small questions. One is that how about being a professor outside India? And is there a combination of commerce, business, and arts? So, ma'am, we are a little running out of time. I would request you to, answer
Okay.
this question.
All right. When we look at academics abroad, can you, if you're asking only about academics in India or abroad also?
Abroad.
Okay. Now, when you want to go and become a professor abroad, number one, you need to do your MS PhD. Without a PhD, you cannot become a professor. And that is the main way. So suppose it is in engineering, you will do your BTech here, you can go and do your MTech PhD over there, and then become a professor in the specialization that you are interested in. If it is commerce, again, you will go and do your MS PhD. A PhD is very, very important to go into academics. We call academics when you go into teaching, whether as a professor or whatever. So until and unless you go into that level, you cannot get in, become a professor. You might have to do super specialization also. Not only PhD, it's a postdoc is another course that you take up if you want to get into a good university in any subject, whether it's in finance areas or it's in economics or sociology, anything, public policy, international relations, you will have to go into the PhD and beyond PhD as well. Thank you.
Ma'am, there is one more question. We
Mhm.
can take another two or three small little questions. Investment banker and its scopes abroad.
Okay. Investment banker, a couple of years back, it was the in thing. Everybody wanted to be an investment banker. An investment banker is the person who joins a bank and helps people to invest and even guides the bank itself about their investments. It's a big niche area to be. You have to be very good in finance, and you need to be from the top finance institutions. And of course, you will have to do your master's in investment banking, maybe from or an MBA in finance to get into investment banking. IIM Ahmedabad also sends people into investment banking. You can get into jobs from there, whether you go from Harvard or Yale or U Chicago in the US or Canada, it can be Toronto or UBC or McGill. If you go into your post-graduation over there, you can then become a very good investment banker, but then you have to have interest in it and maybe do some internships also, but take the deep into that.
Okay, ma'am, there is one participant who wants to share an experience as far as this thing is concerned. So, yes, Indu, ma'am, you wanted to speak something about your life experience.
Yeah, namaskar. My name is Indu Khanna. I'm a Reiki Grandmaster. So, listening to all the professions and career guidance and all, I have some personal experiences to share because initially when I was I was doing plus two, my father was a doctor. he was very keen that I should become a doctor. I gave entrance, but somewhere down the line, I was not interested. क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं मेरी एनर्जीज लिंक थी कुछ टीचिंग्स में, कुछ हीलिंग मोडालिटीज में. So believe me, the things get changed when I get the DMIT test done. There is a test called DMIT, जिसमें ना finger के marks, like some marks are there. By diagnosing these fingerprints, we can come to know which career is good for you, right? So when I get it done, I really found out that this career would be very good for me. And believe me, it works. I did the same thing with my children also because I felt कि उनकी अपनी potential जो वो करना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि क्या होता है कि we basically have a creative mind and a logical brain. ठीक है? Some people who are in a you can say logical brain जो उनका active ज़्यादा जिनका होता है, they are more into technical field. ठीक है? और जिनका creative brain ज़्यादा होता है, they are more into creative skills, right? So when we come to know about the skills which are good in you, you can easily choose out your career more beautifully. And believe me, it really changes your life. मैंने खुद ने शुरुआत में BSc किया, but क्या फायदा होता है? Do anything beyond, because I was just doing it for my parents, right? Then I get into MBA and I get into corporate, and later on down the line, I become a holistic teacher, right? I'm done 24 different modalities. I'm teaching worldwide, and believe me, यही career मेरा काम आ रहा है. So what is really mattering is your excellence in your creation. चाहे आप छोटा सा कोर्स करें, चाहे आप कुछ भी करें. I have some cousins who are into guitar. They are excellent in guitar creation, and now they are one of the best singers. So no matter आप क्या कर रहे हो, objective is to be in excellence, right? Whatever you choose, so choose your career based upon your what is really liked by you. ठीक है? ये DMIT test is very interesting, guys. You can approach Team Iris. We'll provide you some discounted rates in that and get everybody tested. Even मैंने अपने बच्चों का करवाया, अपना कराया. Believe me, उनके करियर में बहुत चेंजेस आए. मैंने बच्चों को पहले, मेरे हस्बैंड वाज वेरी मच इंटरेस्टेड कि वो दे गो इनटू इंजीनियरिंग और मेडिकल, एंड बिलीव मी, लेटर ऑन डाउन द लाइन माय डॉटर इज अ क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजिस्ट बिकॉज शी इज एक्सीलेंट इन दैट, राइट? सो ऑब्जेक्टिव इज दिस कि आपकी फील्ड के लिए, आपकी बॉडी के लिए, आपकी इमोशंस के लिए, आपके ऑरा के लिए कौन सा फील्ड आपके लिए अच्छा है, यू शुड चूज दैट. सो दैट इज माय रिकमेंडेशन टू. एंड कोई भी करियर छोटा नहीं है. When you are into excellence, you can create anything. I being into a profession of Reiki Grandmastership and serving it from last 15 years, I am doing tremendously beautiful job all across the world, and everything is in full-fledged. So कुछ भी आप करो, जो भी करो, excellence से करो, दिल लगा के करो और पूरी श्रद्धा से करो. ठीक है? Thank you guys. Thank you.
Oh, that was very interesting, Indu ma'am. Thank you very much. I take the last question, which is, can I do BCom honors in accounting and finance, and with that CA? There's a question which has come up. So, Sushma, I think you can take on this question.
Yeah. If you have got maths and any of the commerce subjects, but if you have to have maths to be able to, of course, in Delhi University specifically, and many even abroad, to do a BCom honors. So your question is, can I do BCom honors as well as a CA? Today, in fact, a new thing has come up. You can start your chartered accountancy even after grade 10. Along with your 11th and 12th, you can do your foundation at that time. So I prefer that let the children enjoy school at least. They've got enough to do. In fact, I'm of the opinion, complete your BCom honors and then start your CA. My reason, or you are allowed to do it along with it. But the reason being, CA is tough. It's very, very tough. Clearing the paper. Now, what happens if you are doing a CA and for some reason you're not able to clear it? What are you left with? If you've done your BCom honors, you've got something with you, and then you do your CA, you've already learnt a lot, and the foundation course is waived after a BCom honors. So you save that much time too. Of course, chartered accountancy is a great thing to do, but everybody may not be cut off for it. But yes, it's a it's a very good profession. And I would let the student do his BCom honors and then that. But nowadays there are enough of students who are jumping into BCom honors, CA right after college, school I mean. and doing BCom, not honors, but a BCom, privately or from with correspondence or whatever it is. So this is what I know till date. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sushma ma'am. I think most of the questions have been answered, and those people who feel that you need to know more, please write to us on the addresses given in the chat box. And those people who also feel that they want specialized or specific guidance in a particular subject can write to us, and we'll put you through to the respective counselors so you can be guided individually. I'm also grateful to certain principals who have deputed their school counselors to attend this meeting. And I'm sure in times to come, we'll keep having more and more webinars also on specific career choices. We've been organizing these webinars over a period of time, and we would love to do more webinars of your choice. So you can always put across the topics you want us to take on, and we'll go to the experts to give their views on various topics which you have chosen. It's not that what we choose and you got to see. You can always let us know, and it'll be a pleasure to take up those topics. Please keep seeing our social media spaces, that is on Instagram, on Facebook, on our Twitter account. The details have been given in the chat box. Kindly click it, and once you you see our things, especially on the YouTube, I'm going to put up this particular video of this session for your friends who may have missed on it. We'll send the link. Please see it, please like it, subscribe it, and we'll feel encouraged. So in times to come, we're going to have more webinars on senior citizen rights, on child rights. A very interesting webinar is going to come up because everyone wants to know what is my future. But there is a science behind that particular future, how these people predict, whether it is astrology, whether it is palmistry, whether it is Vedic astrology, whether it is dowsing. So in coming weeks, we are going to have a webinar which talks about all these interesting science, how people predict. So keep looking for our social media space, and I'm sure you would like it. Thank you very much. It was wonderful having each one of you on this webinar. And thanks once again to the panelists who gave such an enlightening talk on various topics. I'm sure most of the participants have gone back enriched with knowledge about how to choose a career, what all is available, and who all are there to facilitate in case you plan to go abroad. Thank you very much. Have a good day.